U.S. Border Patrol now trying a new tactic to stop illegal immigration, asking migrants to, quote, please avoid crossing illegally. After dangerous currents in the Rio Grande River killed at least 9 attempted crossers last week alone. Our cameras spotting one woman praying before she tried to swim across that dangerous river last Thursday. The chief patrol agent in the Del Rio sector releasing a warning of extreme importance following those deaths, saying, quote, in an effort to prevent further loss of life, we are asking everyone to please avoid crossing illegally. That stark warning coming as even more illegal immigrants who were bused from Texas are now arriving here in New York City. Texas Governor Greg Abbott sending those illegal immigrants to a variety now of sanctuary cities, including New York, D.C., and now Chicago, hoping to make a point about the ongoing crisis. Now, Chicago's mayor calls the move racist. So we can maybe talk about this, and we'll get to the mayor of Chicago in a moment. But first, I want to start, David, on the broader issue of illegal immigration and those 9 deaths. We sort of breeze past that in our national conversation about these issues. There are people risking their lives and dying to come into this country illegally because they are incentivized to do so by this administration. And I know sometimes people, I'm not like a hardcore border hawk, or at least I haven't been in the past. They're radicalizing me on this because it's a matter of life and death. It's a matter of national sovereignty. You have this administration basically telling people with their mouths, don't come, but with their policies and actions, please come. And this is the result. I am sick of people on the left trying to pretend that they have the compassionate position on this issue. There's nothing compassionate about this.
Well, and then add to that the potential, and they don't have a good count of the deaths in the Darien Gap, which is even more dangerous than the Rio Grande. You have a strong current there, so unfortunately this has been going on since the 90s when I was going down to the border when I was in Texas and reporting on it. Where we are now, so many policy failures, and you mentioned something important. They lecture us with their statements, and they give us our statements, and Border Patrol trying to say, don't come. Fact is, they're not working with Guatemala. This administration is not working with any of those nations. And there are leaders there that would like to do this because their countries are being hollowed out. The buses you see arriving in the cities mirror El Paso, Matamoros, the various other cities in Texas, the border states for that matter. Coming in, young men primarily, women who, by the way, many of them end up in the sex trade or being traded when they come here to other gangs. I mean, let's talk about the real crisis. And then you add the fact that as your kids go back to school right now, as young children go back to school, this rainbow fentanyl, along with the nitazines, which are already causing overdoses and deaths in Virginia, in Colorado, and a number of other states, are being brought in and being sourced from China, where Joe Biden says he has great relationships. Okay. Well, how about going after China on the source materials so you get drugs, sex trafficking, human trafficking, death, 150 plus countries. This is complete deliberate action by the Democrats.
And it's anarchy. It is not compassionate at all. But then you have Tommy, Lori Lightfoot, and we touched on this at the end of the show yesterday, the mayor of Chicago. And I love Chicago. I lived there for years, but they have some serious problems. And for her to sort of thump her chest, being like, oh, you know, we're the good people here. And she's attacking Greg Abbott as like this soulless, awful person. At one point, she said she would welcome all of these Texans to Chicago. Notice the sleight of hand there, the rhetorical sleight of hand. Texans. These are not Texans. These are illegal immigrants that are coming into the country. And if she wants them, as I said yesterday, I think Governor Abbott should take her up on that offer and invoice the city of Chicago for these buses, because she joked she would do it.
Absolutely. Well, isn't that the purpose of a sanctuary city, to provide sanctuary to illegal immigrants? So they should be gleeful about what they're getting. But I think it also goes back to the point, why are they so upset, these Democrat mayors? They're upset because their shelters are being inundated, their communities are being inundated, and these are just busloads of 80 to 100 people, mind you. Yeah, there have been several busloads, but still, that is small potatoes compared to what these border cities and states.
They're like, welcome to our world.
I've been there. I've seen these small. People seem to think that, yes, Texas is a big state, Arizona a big state, big states. But these little communities that are around the border, these are small communities that are being forever changed by what they're dealing with. They've got coroners that are saying, listen, we can't even embalm any more bodies. We can't have any more people at our funeral homes. We are being inundated with illegal immigrants who are dying on their journey. And these are the border cities and states. And then you have mayors that are so tone deaf that want to call a governor who's saying, pleading with the Biden administration, please do something. To call him a racist? No, I don't think so.
And Anita, I remember during the previous administration, AOC going down and weeping in the photo shoot in the white, the white pantsuit that she was wearing. The current border czar and Vice President Kamala Harris, then a senator, she went down there, said these are crimes against humanity. We had 9 people swept away and drowned in the river just last week, and almost nothing, crickets in the media on this. It's like Bill Malugin and no one else. I think that is part of the problem here, because the American people, I think, sense there's a deeply dysfunctional situation down there. I'm not sure they're getting the full picture.
Yeah, I think only if they're watching us, right? Only if they're watching Fox News are they getting a fair and balanced look at this. And real quick, just to piggyback on what Tommy was saying about sanctuary cities, the definition is a city whose municipal laws tend to protect undocumented immigrants from deportation or prosecution, despite federal law. So Lori Lightfoot, a little bit of hypocrisy on her part. She should be welcoming these folks, right?
All right, we'll leave that conversation here for now.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.